First of all, thank you, Deepak and Hiren and Sid for taking the time. Very good question to launch the discussion. We've been in this business of automation for a while, and we've seen a lot of trends, Deepak, on customer first starting with curiosity, then eventual adoption into baby steps, and now what customers are expecting from vendors and partners like us. If I were to pick some of the top trends that we have seen is initially customers started, and I'm talking from a very India specific context, based on customers really started on trying to test the waters, taking very humble, very horizontal functional use cases to see what is the real power of this technology and what is it that it requires from an infrastructure, from an organizational support point of view. So from these baby steps of functional cases like F&A, like procurement and like supply chain example, customers have moved on. The technology has moved significantly. If I can spend a minute on how the technologies has evolved also in line with how these trends are changing. So customers are now looking at two or three more expectations. One is what automation has to drive, which is making mundane, repetitive processes, human processes, automated and bringing in the required efficiency. In some cases, FT savings, but more importantly, business efficiency and their faster response to market. Some of the key trends that we're seeing now is customers moving from that initial phase to expecting more out of this technology. Customers are now talking about some capabilities that go beyond the traditional build, run, and manage. Customers are asking us, how do we make automation or your portfolio also tell us which areas are good candidates for automation, rather than we volunteering use cases and saying this specific use case or this particular process is the one that I want to automate. Can you tell us with your intelligence, with your tooling, what are the areas that we should be automating? So this entire notion of discovering use cases to automate is also an expectation that's coming as a trend. The second trend I'm seeing is going beyond the traditional build, run, and manage. Deepak and the partners on this forum are experts in delivering some high-value use cases in this area. But customers are now asking about what next. What are those machine learning capabilities, the cognitive capabilities that you can bring into this whole notion of traditional RPA, which has really led to this most hot kind of global trend now, I think led by UiPath, is the notion of hyper automation, which really goes beyond build, run, and manage and says automation is not just about this, it's about process discovery, discovering, building, running, managing, taking out insights and driving metrics and analytics out of your automation platform. So it's more a platform story now than a typical product oriented story. And that's, I feel, a number one trend that's going out there. Customer expectation from partners is also, kind of turning. I'm seeing a paradigm shift in these trends as they approach us, specifically in these trends. So I will answer that, Deepak. Just if with your permission, we can just add to what Hiren and Sid said. And this is something that I'm seeing from an India customer mindset to automation point of view. Traditional brick and mortar companies who were very averse to automation in the past are now coming to the fore in terms of looking at the reality and seeing the value associated with automation. This is something that I did not see last year. I myself have served about close to 2.5 years purely setting up the India business, as you know. Then if you look at customers looking at different ways of financial transformation, so they're looking at various ways in which they're trying to adopt automation to drive financial transformation. So whether it's on taxation, whether it's on reconciliation, basically trying to find more financial efficiencies, especially in these times of COVID, where AR or accounts receivable is such a critical part of every business. Then the other thing I've seen, and I know Siddharth talked about the BPO and the KPO, and to some extent he touched upon captives as well. But if you look at the India context, also that applies. Customers are looking to IT automation. IT automation has come to the fore in addition to the financial and all the other aspects I spoke about. Data center, India is a very data center heavy country, and a lot of automation, whether it is security, help desk, infrastructure monitoring, all those potentially manpower heavy areas of IT automation are now coming to the fore, going beyond the traditional keeping the lights on. And the one last thing I wanted to just add, again, because it's something that we do very well as UiPath, is the area of document understanding. We have to acknowledge India is a very, very, very document heavy economy, right? Our organizations for legacy reasons are very heavy on documentation. So we have a lot of capability now, which actually addresses how customers can look at their entire legacy documentation, regardless of the form and structure, and how to bring it out to the pure play digitization, the point that Hiren was making. So I think these are the things that I'm seeing all around us, ably supported by quality partner services from Spectrum 7 and Feet. Sorry, so I just want to add that perspective. So, okay, let me, apart from the, expectations of going up the value chain, Deepak, in terms of what else do we have? Can we look at some AI cognitive document understanding one is the capability part of the expectation. The other is help me, how do I find new processes to automate? So this whole, notion around how do I discover more processes to automate to make more business sense or show more ROI to my C-level for sponsorship at the board level. But if I were to pick one aspect of what most customers are beginning to ask, especially in this era, is this whole notion of skin in the game, right? They'd like more active involvement of our partners and to a large extent, UiPath in the form of our professional services, assisting able partners like Spectrum 7 and Feet Systems in trying to show them, not just use us as a bouncing board for showing them use cases or product capability. They want us to take an extra step along with our partners to go into their processes, understand their domain a little harder, and actually show some outcomes in their environment, right? And this is not something that I saw too much prevalent, up to 6 months ago. This is a changing trend. We had a conversation with a C-level customer at 11 o'clock this morning, exactly the same conversation. I need to build an enterprise automation strategy based on ROI to present to the board. Can you come in as UiPath with I won't name that partner, but come in with the partner and show me, take a medium size or medium complexity process and actually physically show me this whole notion of skin in the game. So I think if I were to pick up one trend in this from a customer expectation point of view, I would call it skin in the game.